Good morning, Acoustic Guitar Forum. As promised and as always, I'm going to do another new guitar day. Welcome to a Mythos 1979 new guitar day review. Many of you will recognize this guitar. Those of you who've been on carbon fiber forum below. It's morning. My mouth isn't working really well. Will recognize this guitar. This is the Emerald X10 Nylon model, originally ordered by Evan B., who had ordered it. He wanted another thin line guitar similar to the X7 he had, and due to a miscommunication between him and Alistair, he got more of a slim line model, which was a wider. Right out of the gate, while he said it was a gorgeous guitar, it wasn't what he was looking for, and he wasn't planning on keeping it. As soon as I saw this guitar, I fell in love with everything about it, and as soon as he said he wasn't thrilled with it, I got in touch with him and told him to put me on the list of people interested in it. It did go to his nephew Cramster for a while, and Cramster had it for a good amount of time and ultimately decided to not to add it to his growing collection. So they sent it to me to evaluate it. I got it last Friday, and I spent the weekend with it. Initially, I didn't bond with it that well. I loved everything about it except for I didn't get a good amplified tone out of it. Initially, I put that down to the pickup system that I didn't like. I was all set to send it back on Sunday, and then Monday morning rolled around and I gave it one more chance and played around with the new Stomp X6 digital mixer, and finally found out what I was doing wrong. I also added a fresh battery to it, and started using the cable instead of the wireless. And but the big difference for me was dialing in a different EQ. I'm very used to guitars with a K&K pickup system where I have to dial out the mids completely and then dial back the lows a little, dial up the highs. With this guitar, dial back the lows, the highs are about flat, but I have to really dial up the mids. Once I did that with this guitar, it just came alive. It became a keeper for me, at least for now. So I'm going to quickly go over the guitar for those who haven't seen Evan's earlier posts about it. It's an Emerald X10 model, which was new to last year. It's a slimline model where the thickness is about a little over 3 inches as opposed to the little over 4 inches that they usually are. X10 body size. It's got the deep cutaway like the X7, the new X7 and X10 models do. It's got a Royal Ebony veneer top that's gorgeous. When I first saw this veneer in the unveneer rollout, I didn't like it at all. But then when I saw it after it's finished, as those of you who are familiar with the Emerald carbon fiber Woody guitars, the finish process darkens the veneer quite a bit. And once it was darkened, it just really comes alive and it really pops. Whereas my other carbon fiber Woody tops, which are Cocobolo and Ziracote, are very dark and need to be in bright sunlight or spotlights to pop. This just pops all day long in ambient light, which is great. It's a standard neck scale, just 25 and whatever, 25 and a half, I think. Normally I don't like that. I like a shorter neck. However, because the X10 is a smaller body guitar and because the bridge sits back farther, it feels like a shorter neck guitar. My two customs, my custom X20 and custom X7 both have 24.6 inch necks, and this position plays exactly like the X20 24.6. The X7 feels a lot shorter on that 24.6, but long story short, it doesn't feel like a full scale guitar that's over 25 inches. So that's good, because I was a little worried about that. The nut width is wider. It's a nylon string guitar with their exposed carbon fiber nylon bridge. Interesting note about this bridge. I recently sent an email to Emerald and said, hey, could you use this bridge, the nylon bridge, as a steel string bridge? And it would basically be a pinless bridge along the lines of a Loudon or a Breedlove bridge, because you would just slide the string right up over and the ball end would seat right there, and then you wouldn't have to have that weird hole with where the ball locks down inside. I haven't gotten an answer back from them on that yet, but I think that would work, and that would also, you wouldn't have the V. One of the things I like about the carbon fiber bridge is you don't have that offset V. While I understand the offset V is part of Emerald's thing, I don't like the offset V on the book matched Woody tops, because it doesn't look right to me. So as a nylon string guitar, naturally it has a wider fretboard. It's 1 7/8, and it also has a slight radius on it, so it's not as wide as a classical guitar. It's not as flat as a classical guitar. Basically, this should be considered more of a hybrid. It's a nylon string guitar that's meant to not necessarily to play anything but classical music. It can and should be used for anything. The thickness of the neck this way is actually on the thin side, which is I like. It's very, very comfortable. You can I can easily get my thumb over the top to fret the low E string, which I haven't been able to do with a thicker 1 7/8 inch necks. So that's actually really good. Those of you who are considering a wider neck from Emerald shouldn't worry about that. And I typically don't like stock Emerald neck shapes. I always custom order them with a soft V. But this one is very comfortable. I like it quite a bit. Joins at the 14th fret. Royal ebony woody top, exposed carbon fiber on the bridge. The back and sides, he just went with the plain black, or it's almost like a gray silver color, which works very well. Because it's a thin line, the proprietary L1 electronics knobs are located this way instead of across this way like on the regular X10. The electronics on it it's just a level 1 pickup, which means it just has the it's a independent saddle pickup system, where the saddle itself, the electronics are built into the saddle, and it picks up each string individually, which gives you extremely good string separation, note separation, and I have noticed that quite a bit, how each string has exactly the same amount of power, which is very interesting for me as someone playing with K&K's systems, where I'm used to having to compensate for a hot string or a less hot string by more or less pressure with my fingertips, because I play fingerstyle mostly. With this, that's not the case. In fact, I have to be careful now and play with the exact same pressure, or I'll create those hot or dead notes. Nylon, so it's very, very much less tension than a steel string guitar. Very easy on the fingers, very easy to fret. Very soft notes. You don't have that shrillness of the steel strings. So that's nice. The electronics, when I look down the hole here, it terrifies me, because there's a carbon fiber shelf that goes down that the proprietary electronics attached to, and I'm used to looking down the sound hole and seeing nothing, because my other guitars are K&K. So the first time I looked down there, I was like, oh my god, that's awful. But also has the jack for the cord is offset like an electric guitar, as opposed to being in the bottom strap button, which I usually have in all my other acoustics. Excellent quality build, stainless steel frets. It's a great player. Evan elected to go with a paddle headstock instead of the slotted headstock. I think the slotted headstocks look great on the Emeralds. They're a ton of work for Alistair. Each one's a hand-carved custom, so it does add a significant price bump. But the regular, normal paddle headstock with Goto 510 tuners works fine. So the first thing I did when I got this was restring it. I'd never strung a nylon string guitar before, and it was simple. I watched one video and there's nothing to it. So I'm gonna play it a little bit for you. That's about all I can think about to talk about. As I play it, I'll talk a little more. I'm gonna come a little closer now so you can hopefully see it. It's got a gold knobs, which are pretty. Hopefully it's not too dark over here. One thing, I want to play it acoustically for you, so. Hopefully you're able to see and hear that. I couldn't see what I was filming. One of the things that shocked me about this was just how much sound comes out of this. I thought with the thinner slimline body, and then with all the electronics going on inside there, that it might not have a good unplugged tone, but it really does. I mean, rings out very, very nicely. So, you know, to use as a, I mean, I wouldn't sit in a bluegrass circle with it, but as a couch guitar, playing, you know, for yourself or, you know, in a quiet setting, sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, other than that, great guitar. I'm gonna, right now I'm going into my relatively new Elite Acoustics Stomp Mix X6 digital mixer, which is awesome, and then that goes straight into my Bose S1, which this is my live rig. One drawback to the level 1 pickup system is you can't get any body tapping. With my K&Ks, I'd get that tapping sound. Now, I'm not a candy rat tapper kind of player. I do have one song that we do in my acoustic duo, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, where I do that little tapping, that drum part as a tap on the guitar. So that wasn't a huge deal. One of the things I was concerned about early on was that the guitar didn't have enough funky guttural attack. I don't play with a pick. When I need to strum, I play with my index and thumb pressed tightly together. And I discovered that, in fact, with the proper EQing, I am able to get that. So. Killing me, baby, with the things you do. Put me in the ground before we're through. Burning up this town, spending everything I saved. You've been out all night, making my grave. So for songs like that, where you know it's more of a gritty guttural thing, the guitar can do that. One thing that I don't like about this bridge is this edge right here. Both the edges on either side, but this one in particular is kind of sharp. So when I'm resting my palm for palm muting against that, I can feel it. It's not so sharp that it's going to cut me. It's just kind of uncomfortable. I think I'm going to take like a very small file, more like an emery board of some kind, and just kind of break that edge a little bit, make that a little more comfortable. So, but then for fingerstyle playing, you know. I've come to love recently, which is why I started looking at nylon guitars. Just the high E especially is very plinky. You know, when I play fingerstyle, I'm plucking up with my ring finger, and that E gets very high and plinky no matter how much I try to EQ it out. But with the carbon fiber guitar, the nylon guitar, those strings naturally have less of that shrill high end. The electronics on board are very sensitive. The volume is not super linear. It kind of all of a sudden, right at the end, goes up to very loud. That's full loud. So I mean that's back just maybe less than an eighth of a turn. All the way back. So if nothing right there, you can start to hear it. That's about halfway. That's like 3/4 of the way, and then so I found that if I dial in a really good hot tone with this, and then I can just back this off a little bit. Sounds really good. And then the tone button actually works really good too. So this is all the way up in the brightest. That's all the way down, so very, very muted. I'll turn it up a little more. So that's all the way up in volume, all the way back in the darker tone. That's all the way up. That's about the middle. All the way down. Middle. All the way up. So it's a subtle change, but there's a long way to go in there. And it's also very dependent on the volume switch. I think that's about it. I mean, it takes a capo very well. One thing I was surprised, I picked up a little Planet Waves inexpensive $10 NS Pro capo. one thing I discovered is that this capo, surprisingly, even though it's an access capo instead of a yoke type one, does not pull any of the strings sharp or flat, which I'm thrilled about. So, because usually with these types of capos, I always have to adjust a little bit, which is why I went over to the other kind. So that's about it. It's a beautiful guitar. It's very, very lightweight. It's as light as my X7. It plays really well. It's super comfortable position-wise. It amplifies extremely well. It sounds really good unplugged. Yeah, I really think that this is a winner of a guitar. It's strikingly beautiful. I'm going to try it. I got a gig coming up this Sunday, a Mother's Day brunch. This will be my primary guitar. I'm gonna have the X7 as a backup, and then you know, I'm gonna give it a good 2, 3, 4 months of really heavy-duty use, playing it live. I want to try it out on an open mic and see see how it does without any sort of EQ shaping. I know whenever I go to an open mic with one of my K&K guitars, it's a nightmare. I have to bring my own mixer or EQ to give them the signal, you know, because if I just plug straight in, almost universally they get really crappy muddy tone because of the way I play with my fingertips. I don't play with any nails. My test for this lately has been going straight into the Bose S1. If I go straight into the Bose S1, even with my tone match on, the K&K guitars still don't sound that good. This guitar, I was able to go straight in to one of the channels of the S1, and then using, you know, the volume and tone knob here, and then I put it using the tone match on that. I was able to get a usable, decent tone out of it. So I'm going to try it at an open mic, and hopefully I can get a really good tone out of it all by itself. And if I can do that, I mean, that's been the missing piece of the puzzle for me with the guitar, is just I wanted a guitar that I could just waltz in to any open mic and plug in and get a usable tone with, you know, what I have on board. So if I can do that with this guitar, then I'm golden. So now I have 3 custom Woody Emeralds. I'm a 2-guitar guy, so I made the joke when I posted the other day that I don't know if I can feed all 3 mouths, but time will tell. If this one continues to impress as much as I hope it does, and becomes the primary axe and therefore the primary keeper, then it becomes down to the X7 or the X20 possibly having to go. And while the X20 is the superior guitar, amplified to the X7, I love that X7 small body size. I much prefer small body size guitars. So, but that's down the road a couple months anyway. Yeah. So if you're looking for an emerald guitar in nylon, I can highly recommend it now. You know, getting this guitar has allowed me to answer 3 questions I couldn't answer before about emeralds, and that's the X10 body and scale, the X10 level 1 proprietary electronics, and the emerald nylon guitar itself. Very good, highly recommended. They don't give them away. Alistair is now starting to charge more for his guitars, especially guitars like this with that are heavily customized as this one is. You know, you're gonna pay a decent price for it, and they're worth every penny. So, all right, I've gone on long enough. I'm gonna go ahead and upload this and get it up there and do a new Guitar Day write-up. Hope you all have a great day. Rock on. Oh yeah, one last thing I wanted to play. The guitar plays very well amplifies very well with the different effects. So this was just my plain everyday. Has a little bit of reverb on it and a little bit of delay, and then I have my this is my chorus setting. reverb setting that I use for like mellower songs. So that's it. Thank you for watching, as always, Acoustic Guitar Forum, and have a great summer. The sun's finally out.